Hello. So I'm going over a few things to try to save time and make sure I get everything in. I'm talking to you about how you're going to revise and refine your plan. So you may remember you had a plan when you started this process, and then we all created our foundational base form. And in this case, mine is this is a cylinder, so this is for 8th grade. And you may remember that the 3 A's, add, alter, adjust. So I adjusted the base of my form by putting my hand in and pushing against very gently, like sort of going like this, inside, like. So I support the outside with my hand, and I push, and I turn, and I push, and I turn, and I push, and I turn. And I keep doing that until I get sort of a rounded form. And this is an example of one that's very exaggerated. But you got to do it slowly and carefully. Otherwise, the clay is going to get stressed, and it's probably going to crack. So I could continue with this because the clay is still soft enough. I also pinched out the edge of it. So there's a lot you can do with pinching and pulling, and that's how you can alter the form. Some of the tools you're going to need I have out in front of me, but I also wanted to tell you, having a cup of water and slip ready, or is very good, and a scoring tool. So this is a sponge for smoothing as you're going along if need be, but it doesn't have to be really saturated. As a matter of fact, the less water the better. If you're adding a lot of water, you're just weakening the integrity of the material, and that's not good. It's just going to turn into a big pile of slip, which we don't want. So you can really smooth things out and work that way. The other thing that I have, and I have to consult my list because, all right, so coil, shape, or adding a form. Oh, I was going to say this too. If you want to cut into your form, you can cut away and create a different type of lip area. You can do that. So if I wanted to, I would actually take a knife, and I have one of those, or you can take a needle tool and just plan out where you're going to remove shapes of clay. Now, as far as adding a little form to form, like in this, when you want to add a little charm to your work, and you saw that I had a volleyball in my other work, or in this I have a little ladybug, and in this form, these are really small. I don't know if you can see those. Little teddy bear and a little, I don't know, another little creature. These are really fun to add on to give it a little extra personality, and really all you need is a little marble size bit of clay. And say I wanted to make, I don't know, I'm kind of familiar with how to make a bird, so I'll just do that really quick, and I'm pinching it out. I'm not really doing any more than pinching and molding, and I might have a little bit of a tail form. So it starts to develop just by doing that. So I start to see my miniature bird form. Then from there, as the clay starts to harden, and I'm going to do a little extra there, I can use some of the modeling tools I have to really help define. It's hard to show you things in class that are this small, and you know, I can work around really defining, I don't know, something like that. And if this is a cardinal, I would keep the top of that bird. You can make anything just with a little ball of clay that can become part of your form, and you can have it just perched on the edge for a little extra added fun. I'm going to score it. You don't really have to score the part that you made. If you score that really well and then just push it right on just like that. It's fun to do that, especially if you're not going to be drinking out of it, you know, if it's going to be a form that's more a container or what have you. So that's one other thing. Of course, you can roll a coil. Coils are so useful. They're like having a line, a clay line. And I didn't do very well with that, so I'm going to put it back together. See, even I can screw up. You want to use your whole palm and your fingers, and sometimes if it starts to get a little square, you have to start again, you know, or you have to push it. Now it's getting really long, so I can use more of my hands going from the inside and stretching. So I have a coil, and I can use this in a variety of ways. I can use it as a line, and I have examples of that. Where do I have examples of that? Oh, right here on the base of this form. I just made a coil line, and you can see I attached it very carefully, not just by scoring and slipping, but I modeled each little with the modeling tool. You know, and it becomes a decorative addition to the form. So that just makes it sit off the surface of the table just a little bit. Another thing I can do is I can make equal segments like this, and, you know, just measuring it and doing a little cut. And I have these pieces, and I can do something like that on the base of my form. So that's another idea. Really, there's no end to what you can do. If I wanted to, I could make this sort of a extra lip around. Well, obviously I'd need to make a longer coil, but I can attach a lip like that. I could even, if I wanted to, similarly with the plate form, I could, well, I wouldn't want it to get lopsided, so I could do something around the base of the form. Aside from making a handle, which is a separate thing altogether that I'm going to show you, but this is really for both VAD 1 and VAD 2. Rolling shapes is a very simple thing, and that's why we have these smaller rolling pins for the smaller, more detailed work that, you know, is really appropriate when the form is still workable, but always turn it over. Always make sure. Now this slab doesn't have to be so thick because it's just going to be added relief. And let's say, I mean, I can draw freehand with my needle. Oh, I should make sure it's not stuck before I start. And it is a little sticky, so I'm glad I did that. Let's say I know I want to add a little shape just to make some relief on my form. And this is tricky, but I think I did it. So, made a little clover. Well, my stem is falling off, but I can mold it back on. So I could attach a little charm if I really wanted to make sure I have something like that. And we're going to be carving, but it's also possible to add shape like this in this stage and work in a little insurance to creating that. Now each table group is going to get a box of tools. We have extras. The carving will come, and we're going to be doing it with this sort of tool. So don't do any subtractive line work yet. We're going to be adding, altering, and adjusting, but no subtraction, no carving, everything's additive or altered by the pushing and pulling method. The only thing the only exception to that rule would be to cut, if you wanted to cut the edge a little bit and make something like you see in my drawing here, this little drawing right here, if you wanted to make the edge different. And the last thing you could do, you saw how I made the coil for feet. You could make circular little, but they have to be the same size and they have to be pretty uniform. Now those aren't. So starting with the material measured out first, all the same size, or we'll show you. So if I have these 3 coils, I can also turn them into little marbles or little peas to go on the base of a form. And I'll show you what I mean really fast. So if I wanted to put it under here, even, I'd have to score and slip it. And, all the way around. That's another thing. Or I could put them up here. I mean, there's still a lot you can do to make your form very unique, whimsical, and creative. So I think that's it.